So when you said lemon farts, you're right.
Yes.
Lemon farts it is.
Hey everybody, I'm Ray.
And I'm Paul.
And we are the Alconauts.
Yes, indeed. And today we have a special guest. We have Josh, all the way from Iowa, a fellow beer reviewer going by the name of the Malted Gentleman. Josh, welcome to our show. Why don't you tell our audience just a little bit about yourself?
Hey, well, first of all, I just want to say thanks for having me on. Yeah, I live in southwest Iowa. It's near the border of Nebraska, maybe a half hour away from Omaha, the home of the College World Series. I actually got into this like 2009. I tried starting a typed out blog on MySpace and that didn't work. And here I am getting back in touch with my beer reviewing desires.
Before we get started and before we get an opportunity to learn more about Josh and the Malted Gentleman Beer Review Show, Ray, why don't you give us a tail of the tape on our beer?
Alrighty, so this week, because we've got Josh on from the US, we've picked Naughty Neighbor from Nickelbrook Brewing, and this is a American-style pale ale that comes in at 4.9% ABV.
And Josh, what have you got to bring to the table?
All right, well, I got Cardinal Pale Ale. This is by Nebraska Brewing Company. They're out of Omaha, Nebraska. And it's a 6% ABV, 42 IBUs.
Let's crack these babies open because, as always,
Paul's thirsty.
So let's crack them open.
I love that sound. It never gets old.
But that is a golden color coming right into my glass.
Oh, I'm excited. I love the smell of this.
It smells fantastic. It's got a great piney smell without being too overwhelming.
Let's have a couple of sips of this thing and let's find out what these beers are all about. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers, guys.
And cheers,
up.
guys.
Cheers.
Ooh. Ray, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, this beer is right up my alley. I love the level of hops in it. It's got a very citrusy. It's a lemony, hit you in the face. You know, right at the front of your palate. Yeah, this is good. This is, like I said, right up my alley. I like this.
And Josh?
It's got a nice piney start, not overwhelming hops, and it's got a nice malt finish. Goes down really smooth, even for 6% ABV. Maybe a little heavy on the carbonation, but otherwise, pretty good beer.
Yeah, I like the color on that there, Josh. That color is fantastic.
It is. Yeah, it's a little hazy, but I mean, there's no sediment floating around in it. Just real well-rounded pale ale.
I'm going to say, in regards to this beer, it tastes like a light beer with a front-forward hoppy taste. So far, you know me. I'm not a very happy guy, but I'm not minding it. And the hop taste really dies down pretty fast. So, you know what, Naughty Neighbor? Not too shabby at all. As we mentioned at the top of the show, Josh is a fellow beer reviewer on YouTube. We're going to have the link down below for his show. Josh, you've been doing a lot of videos. What made you want to try doing YouTube videos and doing beer reviews?
Well, as I said before, it was back in 2009, give or take a year. I tried a blog on MySpace, and I just found it was hard to type out a blog after having a few beers. Just lacked the focus. And several years go by, and I was watching the news one day, and there was a 17-year-old kid who had 500,000 subscribers. He had a little space set up underneath his bed. He had it like a college-style bunk bed. I thought, if a 17-year-old kid can get 500,000 subscribers doing that, surely I can get some subscribers doing beer reviews. I think that actually started in 2019. the fall of 2019, I got a camera, started watching videos on how to start a YouTube channel, and did a bunch of research trying to find other beer reviewers, anything. And I couldn't find anything beer related, no matter how hard I searched. So I went ahead and launched the channel. It took me until the fall of 2020, or the spring of 2020 rather, before I could get over my anxiety to get a video put together that I could actually upload. Once I got it uploaded, I started getting all sorts of suggestions for other beer reviewers to watch. For a second, thought, well, son of a bitch, this market's already taken. But, you know, it's actually turned out to just be a lot of fun, and I feel like I'm meeting a lot of people doing this, and it's helping me with my anxiety, which has been really nice.
Awesome. Yeah. That's a great story. I love the fact that, you know, you mentioned dealing with anxiety, and that's a hard thing to deal with. And that you can overcome that and do a show. I think you put out like 3 or 4 videos a week.
I try to, yeah. You know, some weeks it doesn't work out, but that's my goal, 3 or 4 videos a week, just to try to make sure I'm keeping up with the content, keeping my skills sharp.
And I have to ask you, why did you pick the name The Malted Gentleman?
You know, honestly, I just thought that if I used my own name, people wouldn't know what I was about. So I just racked my brain for a while, and I came up with that and thought, well, that sounds really good. But I gotta admit, I'm not that gentlemanly. More times than not, off camera, I cuss like a sailor. So I try to keep the cussing down to a minimum. Not that I'm making content for kids by any means, but not everybody wants to hear somebody using the F-bomb every other word. So try to keep it to a minimum. Try to act a little bit more refined than I might actually be.
Well, I'll tell you, you're a lot more refined than we are.
So, absolutely.
Why don't we have a couple more sips of this beer, and let's see if our opinions have changed. Cheers, gentlemen. And cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Josh, why don't you start us off?
Well, giving it a few more minutes to warm up, to wake up and bring the flavors out. I think there's a better marriage of the hoppy and the malty with this. It's just one smooth flavor now, whereas the initial drink, it was, you notice the hops and then it finished with the malt. Now it's just one smooth, well-balanced flavor. Goes down super easy.
Yeah, I'm finding on this particular beer, the hops is now staying more prominent, more prevalent. It's not disappearing like it did earlier. It's super smooth. It is super smooth for a pale ale. Goes down easy. As you can see, I'm well around the bend, and that did not take long at all. So I like it.
I'm still liking this. I'm going to disagree with Ray just a little bit, which is I do find the hoppiness leaves my mouth pretty fast. It's still smooth. It's really light. It's an easy drinking beer. It's like I was drinking, say, an American beer.
Ooh.
You know, I hear that a lot. And I wish I could defend that, but if we're being honest, they're not always the most flavorful beers.
Well, it's funny because I believe your ABV is higher than our ABV on this. We're at 4.9% on this, and you're at 6.8, say?
6 even.
6 even.
Yeah, a lot of the breweries, the microbreweries, I've noticed have started increasing their ABV, but your standard macro brews are still hovering right around 4.5%.
Getting back to Josh's Malted Gentleman beer review show, what is the best beer you've ever had, and what is the worst beer you've ever had?
I'm going to start off with the worst beer. It was probably, I cannot remember the name. It was a kombucha beer.
Kombucha beer?
Yeah. And I've never had kombucha, but the kombucha beer, I was looking at that, I'm like, what the hell is this? And a friend of mine probably described it the best way. It tastes like lemonade farts. It was just not good. And that's definitely got to be probably the worst one I've ever had. There's been some other bad ones, but that's definitely something I will not go back to. I would have to say the best beer is one that I had fairly recently, I had a Mad Elf by Trogs. Is it Trogs Independent Brewing? I think is what they go by. And I was just blown away by that beer. I was not expecting it to taste like it tasted. I was expecting a good beer, but sweet with cherries and honey. But had a nice blend of spices in it and good use of a variety of cherries and just a really good beer.
I caught a bit of the Mad Elf episode, and you just looked like you were really enjoying that beer.
Yes, you did.
You definitely made that beer look really good.
Oh yeah, it was exquisite. The only shame is I can't get it around here. I had to get it through a beer trade. I think it's only sold in Pennsylvania, maybe Pennsylvania, Ohio, and honestly, I don't know. There's like just a handful of states that can even get their hands on that. And that's at least a 16-hour drive for me, so.
That is a long way to go for beer. So, being a beer review guy, I know personally that what I usually drink is not the drinks I review. So, I gotta ask you, what is your go-to drink when you're not reviewing a beer, Josh?
I got a couple. I call them my sippin' beers. PBR is one of them. And actually, I didn't even start drinking that until 5 or 6 years ago. Just for whatever reason, I just never drank it. And then when I finally tried it, I thought, wow, that's actually really good beer. Why? And it's considered, kind of a cheap beer. A lot of people look down their nose at it, but I think it's pretty good. Coors Banquet, I like that. Especially in the bottle, the little stubby bottles. It just tastes a little bit better that way.
I don't know why, but those stubby bottles it just makes you feel like you're drinking a good hearty beer. I don't know. It's because the bottle's so small, it just makes your hands look bigger.
It's so funny because we're cross-border, and your two sipping beers are mine and Paul's go-to sipping beers. It's so funny.
Well, I guess we all know quality.
Well, here's a question for you. I don't know if you remember, but what was the first beer you've ever had, and when did you have it?
Oh, trying to remember. It was the summer between my 8th and 9th grade year. A buddy of mine's like, hey, I got a beer. Let's go drink it. And it was a weird deal. He, found some field and buried it to hide it, just in case somebody stole that one beer. I feel like it was maybe awesome. Like a Milwaukee's Best. May have been an old Milwaukee. And so we go and find it, crack it open, and it was warm. And I took like half of it down and handed it to him. He's like, no, I'm good. It's like, are you kidding me, you son of a bitch? But so I finished off that warm beer, and it was disgusting. It was another 2 or 3 years before I had another beer after that, just because that was a miserable experience.
But you finished it.
Experience.
I did. I grew up in a house where you have to clean your plate, and I just figured that goes for a can of beer too.
Yep.
Well, you were brought up right. I think I'm at the point where I am ready for the chug. What about you guys?
Absolutely.
I'll give it a shot. All
right. So, Ray, why don't you explain for Josh and our friends at home the rules of the chug and count us in.
All right. So, as always, I'm going to count us down from 3. When I hit the word go, we chug these back. First one back to the table wins the chug. And if we're ready, we're going to go 3, 2, 1, and go.
Oh, that might have been my best chug, and I think I still came in last.
You know what? I'm pretty sure you had more beer than I did, but Ray, I just hate you so much.
Yeah.
Someday, sir.
I'm not proud of this. I'm really not proud of the fact that you guys are so terrible at chugs.
Let's see where our opinions lie after that chug. Josh, give us a final opinion and give us a score out of 5.
Flavor-wise, I still find it to be a nice blend of hoppy and malt. Still goes down really easy. Giving it time to set gets rid of some of the carbonation, which makes it go down that much easier. I'd give it like a 4.1 out of 5. I thought this was a pretty good beer.
Naughty neighbor, you are really naughty because this is actually a really easy beer to drink. The hops, for me, just disappear. There's not a lot of bite in terms of the carbonation. It is your, typical college kid's dream beer at 4.9%. Easy to crush. I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5. I would buy this again. I would definitely recommend this to friends. So I'm totally in. Great job, guys.
Yeah, totally easy drinking beer. I love the amount of hops in this. I love the hop flavor. Not sure what they used hop-wise. I don't know if it says here. Oh, it's Cascade hops, Centennial, and Citrus. So that explains the lemony flavor. I love it. It's a really good beer. I'll definitely buy it again, stock it again. It's a 4. Absolutely solid 4.
Josh, we want to thank you so much for being on the show. We had a blast with you. We want to take this opportunity to give you the floor and just tell everybody what your links are, what you're going to be doing, and honestly, if you have any advice for any future YouTubers, feel free to give it. The floor is yours, sir.
All right, well, I appreciate that. You can find me easily on YouTube, searching either my name, Josh Ellis, or The Malted Gentleman. You can find me on Facebook and Twitter as well, under The Malted Gentleman. And in the near future, I'm just going to be drinking beer. We're setting into winter, so I don't got a lot of plans. Just going to be looking for good beer to drink and drinking it as much of it as I can and trying to give an honest review on it. And as far as anybody looking to get into YouTube under any niche, I say just go for it. If nothing else, I think you'll find that it helps you open up. It has helped me open up tremendously. I've always been terrible in public. I usually the guy when I go out with friends who's just sitting there people watching while everybody else is conversating. I don't do public speaking, but now that I've got my channel, it's helped me open up. So if you're reluctant because of that, just go ahead and do it. Even if you're just using your phone, just go ahead and start recording. Just record yourself talking. Eventually, you'll find that it comes pretty naturally.
I love watching your show. You're very succinct and very classy, I must say.
Thank you.
We've enjoyed you being on our show. Please subscribe, not only to our channel, but to Josh's channel as well. And let us know who did the review best, the Malted Gentleman or the Alconauts. And with that being said, I am Paul.
I'm Ray.
And this is Josh.
Hi, I'm Josh.
And we are the Alconauts.
Cheers all.
Take care.